So good morning again. Due to the technical problem this morning, we couldn't get through the Zoom connection. So we decided to have this a recording class. The advantage of recording class is the fact that you can watch it later on as well. So good morning, everyone. And I just hope that everyone is doing all right and everyone had an amazing weekend. So in our today's agenda, we are going to see some of the Delexical verbs, and we will also see the future progressive, and we will also have a worksheet. So maybe first of all, I have to start talking about some Delexical verbs. So we call them as Delexical verbs. And talking about the lexical verbs, we basically have a few of them, which we use them for different purpose. I can start by just listing them. First of all, we can have the word have, we can have the word take, we can have the verb gave, we can also have the verb such as make. We can have the verb such as go, and we can also have the verb such as do. So these are some of the verbs that are called the lexical verbs. If you would like, I'm going to start first of all with the first one. The first word that we have is actually the verb have. So far, you have learned have to be a to have auxiliary, for example, okay? So far, you have learned have as to have auxiliary. For example, I have 3 brothers. He has a nice car. And then you also learn it as a modal auxiliary, saying that we have to speak English, or they had to bring their passport. All right, so far you have learned them for all these. You have learned them for the to have auxiliary, and you've also learned them for the modal auxiliary. But today we're going to use them as the lexical verbs. So when we talk about have, we use it. We use it for what? We use it with. I can talk about, first of all, we can talk about, let's say, food or drinks. Talking about food and drinks, we can talk about a meal. We can talk about breakfast. We can talk about lunch. We can talk about dinner. We can talk about a snack. We can talk about, a snack. We can talk about a cup of tea, for example. So I'm going to give you an example for each and every one of them. For example, you can say, as an example, we can say, I had a good breakfast before I left home. That is actually the example for food or for the drink. Then we can also talk about it. We can use have to in the talking. For example, if you're talking about the talking, then we can also use it. You can talk about talking, or you can use it about talking by the following means. For example, if you're talking about a chat, if you're talking about a conversation, if you talk about a discussion, or if you talk about what? About a talk. So for these situations, we normally use the word have. It might be something basic, but it's actually going to be an important part of our daily conversation. So when we are using have, we can also talk about the talkings. For example, we can say, we had a long conversation with the director. We had a long conversation with the director. So as you can see here, we can use the lexical verb have to talk about the talkings. There's a third use as well. And we normally use the lexical verb have in order to talk about the washings. Talking about the washings, for example, if you want to have a bath, if you want to have a shower, if you want to have a wash, or if you want to have a scrub. So how can we make an example by using have? I can say, for example, the kids should have a bath before they go to bed. So that means I can basically use it either in the present form or in the past form or in the progressive form. You can also say that, where are the children? You can say they're having a bath. Where is Mike? Mike is having a bath. Or yesterday I had a bath. I had a shower. So you can use them for the washings. The fourth use of the lexical verb have, we can use it for the restings. For the resting, when I talk about the resting, I initially mean to talk about what? To talk about break. So if you talk about a break, if you talk about a holiday, or if you simply talk about a rest, we can use the lexical verb have for that. For an example, we can say, we normally have a short, we normally have a short holiday when? In July and August. That's it. So if you're talking about the rest, or if you're talking about a break, you can use the lexical verb have. Just to finish, we can also use the lexical verb have if you're talking about disagreeing. If you talk about the disagreeing, you can also use the lexical verb have. Disagreeing, that can be when we are having an argument, when there is a dispute, when there is a fight, or when there is a quarrel. When there is a quarrel. All right, so for all these events, you can use the lexical verb have. I can make an example for that. For example, they had a serious quarrel about quarrel. I'm going to double the R, quarrel about their property. Right. So that is the example. So friends, as you can see here, so the lexical verb have is basically used for multiple usage. You can talk about the food or about the drinks. You can talk about the conversation. You can use it for the washings. You can use it for resting. And you can also use it for disagreeing. So they had a serious quarrel about the property, about their property. Um, so um, Please also note, in addition to all we have discussed here, I can also maybe talk about a certain notes by saying that we also use have um, with nouns formed from verbs. So sometime if you're actually forming a noun from the verbs, you can also use that. For example, you can have an example such as, I think you should have a look at this. Or we can have, for example, as you can see, have a look. That is the lexical verb. Or we can say, she had a bite of the cake. She had a bite of the cake. So had a bite of the cake is used in this way. Or just the last example before I move on to take. I can say, for example, they are going to have a swim. They're going to have a swim. So have a swim is what we normally formed a noun from the verb. So that is the first lexical verb. Can I give you now 1 minute so that you could write your example? All right. So I'm sure by making example, you managed to use it in different context. So friends, what are we going to do now? Let's go on and let's talk about another the lexical verb, which is basically what? Which is basically the verb take. So take, yes, take care. Let's put it in capital letters. Take. Oh, it's automatically. Right. So we use take with. So you're going to use the word take with the following verbs. First of all, if you are talking about washing, of course, if you're talking about the washing, you have to use the word take. For example, we can say, well, you can definitely use it for a bath. So as we just mentioned in the first the lexical verb, that you can use the word have. The kids should have a bath before they go, but you can also use the word take to talk about the bath, or you can talk about a shower. You can talk about, let's say, about a wash. And as an example, I can say, for example, I always take a cold shower in the morning. I always take a cold shower in the morning. So that is the sentence that we use it in order to talk about the shower. Or um, you can also use the word take if you're talking about the resting, just like the word have. So we can also use it to talk about the resting. So, for example, we can say a break. You can use it a break. So you can say, as we just discussed earlier, we normally have a short holiday in July or in August. And here you can say, we normally take a short holiday in July or in August. That is exactly the same thing. So you can use the word take, talking about a break, talking about a holiday, or talking about a rest. As an example, we can say, you look tired. You need to take a break. You look tired and you need to take a break. So that's it, people. The use of the delexical verb take is for washing or for resting. But please also remember that there is a set of verbs that we normally use it with. So, for example, take can be used with the following words. I'm sure you have heard people saying, take care. Take care of yourself. I took care of you. Then you've got take a turn. This is my turn. Wait until you take your turn. Take a trouble. You normally take a trouble. We normally take a chance. I'm taking a chance, or I'm trying a chance. And sometimes please make sure you're also taking a decision. You're also taking care of someone. So I'm going to put SO, taking care of someone. Then, yeah. So, or maybe what we can do, we can also use it in a different way, like in the, maybe in the use it form. So we can say care of someone. Okay, so when we talk about the turns, we can say turns, taking turns. We can say take the troubles when it's actually trouble. And then you can take a chance or you can take a risk. Then you can take a decision or you can take a photograph. So you can take a photograph. So these are some of the verbs that we can use it um, with the lexical verb. Let's make some examples here. Let's make some example with some of these verbs. For example, we took hundreds of photographs on holidays. Or you can also say, yes, we can say, let's take a walk. Let's take a walk as well. So friend, that is the word take. Let's move on really quickly and talk about another